Hey everyone, it's the American Abroad joining you from the secret location again. Just wanted to show you guys here a couple notes that came through. My coworkers told me that there were some older notes that they had found or seen, and I looked through them, and this is a 1953 Series B note, $10. You can see that they are quite different compared to some of the newer notes. The newer ones look like this at the bottom, and the next one's a 69, but the older ones had here, "Will pay to the bearer on demand, $10, and the newer ones didn't have that down there anymore. So they changed the style of the note a little bit, somewhere between 50 and 69. This is a 1950, it has a nice centerfold. It's not in terrible shape considering that it's 66 years old, or almost 67 years old now, approximately. It probably wasn't printed in 50, since it's a Series B, it's probably printed somewhere in the 60s, I'm guessing. But yeah, it's not the best note I've ever seen, not a star note, but it's not in terrible shape, like I said, for being so old. The back, just your standard back. You can see that there's a color difference here. This green is a little bit lighter green, I would say, than this color green in 1969 and 69. You can see there's also a difference on the back with "In God We Trust." On the 1950 B note, there is no "In God We Trust." So the color changed a little bit. You can also see that with the serial numbers here, that this is a little bit darker green than this green. It's interesting what it says up here. It says, "This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, and is redeemable in lawful money at the United States Treasury or at any Federal Reserve Bank." This was because there was still money that was tied to silver, so you could have brought this in and gotten your silver, even though I believe it wasn't a silver certificate. You still could have redeemed it for silver because the money was backed in actual hard metal. It's interesting that later that just turns into "This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private." So it went from being really worth something and being backed by hard metal to being basically worth nothing. But yeah, 1969 is the next one. It's a little bit better shape, but it's of course a lot newer. It's basically almost 50 years old. I guess you could say 47 years old. It has had a potential here to be a cool serial number. If this would have been 062, then you would have had a super, or you would have had a radar. Nothing super to write home about, but still it's something that you don't really see too often probably in the US in this shape. 69 and 1950B. And the next one was also a 1950 series, but this one was an A. Has some writing on the side here, 46. It's the oldest 20 I've ever found in circulation or seen in circulation, even in Germany. Has some staining. The corners are actually pretty good. The serial number could have been interesting if it would have been 321098765 or whatever, but would have been, yeah, 98765 or 09876, I think. It had a potential at the front with a 321, but didn't come to be it, unfortunately. On the back, you have the standard old school White House. There's a stamp on the back from M. Shaky, P.O. Box, Bahrain. Looks like it was actually stamped by a person in Bahrain, so I don't know, man. I'll have to look more closer at that stamp. Have to try to make out what that says or interpret what that says. But like I said, these are just some notes that occasionally come through. I'll pick them up if they're small face and they're this old. If they're not this old, if they're like from the 80s, even 70s, I debate it, but anything older than 70, you got to pick up. You got to save them from the Federal Reserve shredders or from the bank shredders, because I'm sure if the bank in Germany gets these sent to them, or the people who will get them won't even appreciate them. So I appreciate them, like I said. Something to, kind of a novelty item, reminds me of my childhood. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Blabbing here. Have a nice day. Bye.